أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي Amin. Assalamu alaikum dear students, how are you all? I hope that you all are fine and doing well. This is me, your Islamic studies teacher, and students, as you know that we are learning unit number 30, and today we are going to continue our lesson. So let's begin. Okay students, so this is unit number 30 and the name of this lesson is Women in Islam, and the main points which we will discuss: previous knowledge, that first we will talk about the previous knowledge, that what we have learned earlier from this lesson. Then we will continue the reading of the lesson from page number 105 and 106, explanation. Then students, exercise B is your homework. So let's continue. First we will talk about the previous knowledge. Previous knowledge, students, the very first point was women in medieval time, that what was the condition of the women in the middle age or in the early times. And we have learned that many societies have practiced female infanticide. Infanticide means the killing of the newborn, and it was practiced by the Roman until the 4th century AD. That they regarded, means the Romans regarded women as a slave, and the Greeks considered women as a commodity that could be bought and sold. And we learned that Christian societies tended to see women responsible for mankind's departure from paradise. And then we have learned the condition of women in Asia, that in India the condition of the widow was very much worse. It was customary for a widow to be burnt alive to death on her husband's funeral pyre. And this custom was continued to some extent into the 20th century. And then we have learned that in China, women were subject to obedience to the sons when widowed, and women also had their feet bound from childhood. And this practice continued until the early years of 20th century. And students, then we also learned about the condition of women in Arabia before Islam, that the lot of women was extremely deplorable in pre-Islamic Arabia, and the right of inheritance was denied to them. And it was customary for the eldest son to take as wives his father's widows together with other property. And women was discriminated against even in the matter of food, that men reserving certain dishes for themselves. And the girls had been regarded as an economic burden. And students, then we have learned that if we keep this background in mind and consider the position of women in Islam, then we will realize that Islam released women from slavery, honored her, and protected her. And Islam improved her position in a number of ways. And the next point from this lesson was the Quran defines women's role. And we have learned that the Quran gave protection to women, and it forbade the custom of killing unwanted infant girls, and also it gave women a share in family inheritance in the 7th century. And we have learned that European women had to wait until the 19th century before they gained legal rights over their own property. And then we learned that a divorced woman could keep her dower. She was entitled to support from her husband and also could marry again. And we also learned that it was quite possible for an unhappy wife to get a divorce from her husband. And such a dissolution of marriage at the wife's instance is called khula. Different but complementary roles. And we have learned, students, that Islam holds women in high esteem, high respect, and the Quran regards men and women as equal in personal and basic values, but they have different functions that are complementary. And we learned that woman is the masterpiece of Allah's creation. Woman is that creation into whose delicate hands is the future of the world entrusted. And we also learned that the reward for achieving the right path, it is the same for both. In some things men excel women, and in some other ways women surpass men. And each of the five pillars of Islam, like faith, salah, fasting, zakah, and the hajj, is as important for women as for men. And students, there is no discrimination in this regard. Okay, students, so the next point is, who is superior, man or woman? It is idle to debate about it. It is idle to debate that who is superior, man or woman. In fact, woman is not the same as man. She is different. And Islam has given men and women different roles in life. And science also agrees that there are several physical differences between men and women. And a woman is biologically different from men, because they have different roles to play in the society. And what is the woman's place? Woman's place has traditionally been home. Woman's place has traditionally been home, and the responsibility for the maintenance of the family in a Muslim society is the man's duty. Means this is the man's duty to look after the maintenance of the family and to earn for their living. This is man's duty in a Muslim society. And the wife herself is responsible for the care of her home, and also it is her job to make the life of her family sweet and joyful. And then students, in the words of Professor Khurshid Ahmed, and this quotation is mentioned in your textbook, that he said that the question of equality or inequality of men and women raised in this context is simply irrelevant. Different roles or functions do not mean difference in basic status as human beings. Rose and jasmine, daffodil and tulip are different, but to say that they are unequal is simply confusing the issue. Engineers, doctors, poets, and artists play different roles in society, but the question of their inequality is not raised. So, different roles do not mean that some are superior or other inferior. Okay, students, so the next point is marriage. Islam considers happy family life as a foundation of a healthy society. And the Quran encourages Muslims to marry. And this is why when a girl reaches the age of marriage, it is usual for a Muslim parent to find a suitable husband for her. But she has to be consulted. The bride to be has the right to refuse the person chosen for her, and the marriage cannot go ahead if she does not agree. And it is reported that once a girl came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and complained, saying that she had been married without being consulted. And the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, decreed that she was free to have her marriage dissolved if she desired. But in practice, most young Muslim men and women usually trust their parents to make a good decision for them. Then students, the next point from this lesson is meher. What is meher? What is the definition of meher? When a Muslim woman is married, Islam requires the bridegroom to give her a dowry or meher, which may be of an agreed value. And it is a gift from the bridegroom to the bride, and becomes entirely hers. Means then the bride own that meher. And what is the amount of meher? However, the amount of the marriage portion, or you can say meher, which the bridegroom has to give to the bride has not been fixed by law. Means there is no fixed amount for meher. It completely depends on the agreement of the two parties. Means the family of the bridegroom and the family of the bride. And it may consist of anything. According to a hadith, even an iron ring may be enough if the bride is willing to accept it. And then students, there is a hadith mentioned in your textbook that once when a man approached the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, saying that he could not even afford to give an iron ring, he was told to teach the Holy Quran to his wife. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, gave varying sums to his wives for meher. And the meher of his daughter Fatima, Allah be pleased with her, was 400 dirhams. But today, very high sums are often specified as meher. And unfortunately, in some countries, the father is forced to give heavy sums of money, high sums of money and furniture as dowry. You can say jahiz to his daughter. But students, all such practices are alien to Islam. All such practices are foreign to Islam, and all these practices must be discarded. Then students, the next point is man's treatment of the wife. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, repeatedly urged Muslim men to treat their women folk with kindness and respect. They should be very kind to their wife and they should give them respect. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is reported to have said, "The best among you is the one who is the best towards his wives. The most perfect amongst believers in faith is he who is best in manner and kindest to his wife." Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, disliked the idea of beating one's wife and said on more than one occasion that could anyone beat his wife as he would beat his slave and spend the evening with her? In his sermon on the occasion of the farewell pilgrimage, shortly before his death, Khutbah Hajjatul Wida, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, laid special emphasis on kindness to women. So students, this was our lesson, Women in Islam, and we have learned that our religion, our beautiful religion Islam, has given a lot of respect and protection to the women, and we should be very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all are Muslims, alhamdulillah. Okay students, so the last point is your homework. Read unit number 30, especially page number 105 and 106, and then do activity B. Activity B is that write a short note on, and the first point is women's right in Islam and polygamy in theory and practice. You are directed to write short notes on your neat notebooks and learn them, and you can take help from your textbook to write these notes, and you can do this, I'm sure. When you will read this lesson, then you will be able to do this activity. It is going to be very easy for you after the reading. Then make 10 MCQs from this unit. Also you will do it after the reading. Thank you very much, dear students. Take very good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.